She abandoned the company the moment it needed her most. My brother didn't even glance at me when he said it. He spoke to the mediator, his voice smooth, rehearsed, like he'd practiced in front of a mirror for weeks. Maybe he had. He adjusted his cufflinks, the ones my mother had given him for his 40th birthday, and shook his head slowly, performing grief for an audience of 3. I didn't flinch. I didn't correct him. I looked down at my phone. 11 minutes. That was how long before everything he had spent 2 years building would unravel in this room. Have you ever sat across from someone lying about you so completely, so confidently, that for a second you almost believed them? Drop a yes in the comments if you know that silence. My brother, in that room, was my opponent. He sat with his lawyer to his left, and a thick accordion folder on the table in front of him, the centerpiece of his performance. He kept patting it, touching it like it was a winning hand he couldn't wait to reveal. The mediator, a compact woman named Miss Okafor, looked at me over her reading glasses. She carried the expression of someone who had witnessed every imaginable family tragedy and had stopped being surprised by any of them. Your brother has filed a formal petition to have you removed as executive of your mother's estate and to appoint himself as sole trustee, she said. He's also requesting a full audit of all transactions over the past 18 months. Do you understand the scope of what's being requested today? I understood perfectly. What my brother didn't understand was that I had designed that scope myself. I nodded once. I understand. He exhaled through his nose. That particular exhale I had known since childhood, the one that said, "You're embarrassing yourself, and you don't even know it." He had first used it when I was 9 and got a science question wrong at dinner. He had used it last, 3 days before our mother's funeral, when I told him I needed a week before making any decisions about the estate. "A week," he repeated with that exhale. "Of course you do. 8 years older, an MBA, a firm handshake, absolute certainty that being first in the room meant ownership. Our mother had built a regional logistics company from a single rented truck, 20 years of 7-day work weeks. When she passed 18 months ago, she left the company valued at just over $4 million in a trust with me as executive, and both of us as equal beneficiaries. My brother received that information with the same exhale, only slightly longer this time. Miss Okafor folded her hands. "We will begin with your brother's petition. He may present his evidence." His lawyer, Gerald, a man with the energy of someone built by syllables, opened the accordion folder and slid documents toward Miss Okafor. "We're presenting a pattern of financial mismanagement," Gerald said, his voice carrying the weight of a verdict already written. Specifically, 31 irregular transactions totaling approximately $620,000 were made from the estate's operating account over the past 14 months. These funds were moved to accounts outside the trust structure without board notification, without beneficiary consent, in direct violation of the fiduciary duties assigned to the executive. My brother turned to me for the first time. His eyes were steady, searching for panic. 18 months of looking, finding none, driving him reckless. "She has been draining the estate," he said, abandoning Gerald's measured tone for something theatrical. "While I've been managing client relationships, keeping employees paid, holding this company together, she has been systematically moving money out. She lives in a studio apartment, drives a 7-year-old Civic, has taken no salary. Where did $620,000 go? I'll tell you. Into accounts she controls privately. Accounts hidden from this process." Miss Okafor looked at the documents, then at me. "These are serious allegations. Do you want to respond? I want to tell you about the year before my mother died. She called me on a Tuesday morning in October. Unusual because she never called before noon. Silent and focused until lunch, she said, without greeting. I need you to come to the office. Not this week. Today. I drove 2 hours. She sat behind her desk with a single manila folder, fear in her expression, the kind I had never seen before. Inside were bank statements, accounts I had no visibility into, with transfers highlighted in yellow. Your brother has been moving money, she said. I noticed it 3 months ago. I've been watching. The transfers were small at first. 12,000 here, 8,000 there, routed through a vendor account my brother had set up 18 months prior, a logistics subcontractor called Meridian Transit Solutions. Later I confirmed Meridian had no trucks, employees, or physical address, incorporated in Delaware using a P.O. box and my brother's college roommate's name. My mother said, "I don't want to go to the police. Not yet. I want to know how deep it goes. We built a trap together." I didn't respond immediately in the mediation room. I let Gerald finish. I let my brother add 2 more sentences about my alleged evasion and suspicious lifestyle. Then I looked at Miss Okafor and said evenly, "Everything he just described is accurate. The transactions happened. I authorized every single one." My brother leaned back, like I had confirmed everything he ever suspected. Gerald stopped mid-sentence. I continued. "I didn't move the money into hidden accounts. I moved it into evidence. I opened a dark blue binder, deliberate, not thick, just right." My mother had taught me the power of precision. Before I explained the contents, I addressed my brother's comments about my apartment, car, and lack of salary. He presented them as incompetence, as if the money funded a secret life. I paused, offering the true story. My mother had come to me in October, 10 months before she died, holding evidence of irregular transfers, initial estimates between $80,000 and $120,000. She asked me to take over the estate management when she was gone. Pancreatic stage 3. 8 months give or take. Be boring, be forgettable, let him think he's the only one who knows, she said. I became boring. Studio apartment, bus rides, same rotation of 7 outfits, declined invitations to Christmas parties, board dinners, client golf events. Let him breathe easy, while I followed the money. "Miss Okafor," I said, sliding the blue binder across the table. 14 months of forensic documentation. Every transaction flagged as suspicious by my brother was deliberate. Each withdrawal traced the routing of funds through Meridian Transit Solutions, the shell company my brother incorporated 26 months ago, 11 months before our mother's diagnosis. Gerald froze. My brother scoffed. "That's fabricated." The $620,000 he mentioned was moved into monitored holding accounts, coordinated with forensic accountants Harlow and Park to establish a documented chain of custody for funds being siphoned by Meridian. I turned a page. Over 14 months, my brother routed approximately $1.1 million through Meridian. The $620,000 I moved was a tracking mechanism. The actual theft was more than twice that amount. Silence filled the room, heavy, absolute, the kind of silence that hits between a flatlining monitor and a nurse's arrival. My brother's composure cracked, not shattered, just cracked like expensive glass along a clean line. "She's lying," he said. "She's been building this story to punish me for running the company while she played executive from her little apartment." Gerald touched his arm. My brother shook it off. "You want to talk about running the company?" I handled the Callaway contract, the Pacific Freight merger, the union negotiation last spring. She showed up to sign documents and disappear. Mom always protected her because she was youngest, fragile. I said, "Quiet." She came to me because she had already found the Meridian account, already noticed the pattern. She didn't go to you, didn't go to an attorney, didn't go to the board. She came to me with a folder. In October, 10 months before our mother's passing, I held my brother's eyes. She asked me to document everything, wait until the numbers required a federal referral. My brother was breathing differently. I recognized the shift. The same I had watched in security footage from his office, included in the binder, showing him logging into the company vendor portal from home 11 times over the year. A cornered person is not a defeated person. My brother, 48, adapted quickly. He pulled a folded paper from his jacket, unfolded it, placed it on the table. "She's been building a case," he said. "Fine. I built one too. An email, 4 months before my mother's passing, from her personal account, authorized me to manage Meridian on behalf of the family trust. Every dollar moved through that account was legally sanctioned by our mother." Miss Okafor read it, looked at me, then at my brother. Gerald straightened subtly. "I want to be honest. I was not calm. Beneath the binder, the forensic accounting, the 14 months of silence, I felt cold and sharp doubt for approximately 4 seconds, imagining my brother had found something I missed. Then I remembered October, my mother. Her folder. Her fearful face. "He always has an exit," I opened the last tab of the blue binder, labeled simply, Exit. May I see the email? I asked Miss Okafor. She passed it. I read it, checked the header, the metadata in the footer, which my mother always printed. Email sent 6:14 a.m. on a Thursday, from her account, IP address traced to my brother's home network. Page 47 of the binder confirmed it. 11 of 17 unauthorized vendor portal logins came from that same address. She was hospitalized that week. Admission and discharge records were in tab 9. My brother's face collapsed inward, quietly, like a building losing a single load-bearing wall. You accessed her email. You wrote to yourself from her account, printed it, brought it here because you needed an exit, I said, placing the email back. Mom told me you'd have one. She was right. I did not enjoy that moment. My brother was not a cartoon villain. He was the brother who taught me to ride a bike at 6. Called me when my first serious relationship ended. Somewhere between that person and the one in the room, he had chosen a path I could not follow. That was grief too, a different shape of it. Miss Okafor set her pen down. She looked at the binder, the email, then my brother, no longer mediating. I know, he said flatly. Gerald was closing his accordion folder. The aftermath was less dramatic than the room itself, but still vital. My brother did not contest the referral. The forensic accounting firm filed their report with the state attorney's office. A federal financial crimes unit picked it up 6 days later, due to interstate routing through the Delaware Shell Company. I did not wait for a verdict. I already had what I needed. Our mother's company did not collapse. Operations Director Renata, present since year 3, knew the freight routes better than anyone alive. She stepped in as interim management while the board restructured. I signed her permanent contract on a Tuesday afternoon, sitting in my studio apartment on my 7-year-old laptop, drinking gas station coffee. My mother would have found that funny, terrible coffee, always, but she said, "If you need it to be good, you're thinking about the wrong things." I sold the studio apartment lease the following month, not out of necessity, but because I was done being invisible. I am telling this story not to claim perfection. I made mistakes, signed documents without reading them. At 24, grieving, exhausted, those mistakes created openings. I had 4 seconds of doubt in that room, which could have broken everything if they had lasted 5. I cried in my car at 10 p.m., 31 years old, my mother gone. The person who should have been grieving beside me was the person I was building a case against. But my mother did not come to me because I was the youngest. She came because she trusted me. She knew if she handed me something hard, I would not put it down. Patience is not passive. It is the most active thing I have ever done. Every morning for 14 months, I checked numbers, routing logs, holding accounts, and said nothing. At every family dinner, board meeting, and estate review, where someone waited for me to either explode or give up. Patience meant building while they thought I was standing still. If someone relies on your silence to protect their secrets, let them. Keep building. Keep the folder. Keep the metadata. Keep the exit tab. And when the time comes, open the binder slowly. You do not need to rush. The ending is already written, they just do not know it yet that you wrote it. The binder slid across the table, deliberate, each page a piece of the story my brother had tried to bury. 14 months of meticulous tracking, every transfer, every routing path, every dollar flowing through Meridian Transit Solutions, documented and verified. I let the room absorb it. Gerald went still, like he had just realized the magnitude of what he was seeing. My brother's eyes flickered, not panic, not defeat, just recognition that the game had shifted. She's been building this story for months, he said, voice rising, shaking off some composure. Obsessed with punishing me for running the company while she pretended to be executive from her apartment. Gerald placed a hand on his arm, a futile gesture. He shrugged it off. You want to talk about who ran that company? I was there every morning at 7. I handled the Callaway contract, the Pacific Fleet merger conversation, the union negotiations last spring. She showed up to sign documents and disappear. Mom always protected her youngest. Fragile. She needed protection. I cut him off. Quiet. She came to me because she had already discovered Meridian. She saw the pattern. She didn't go to you. She didn't go to a lawyer. She didn't go to the board. She came to me with a folder. In that moment, I held his eyes. October. 10 months before our mother passed. She had asked me to document everything, to wait until the numbers were big enough. Undeniable. Unchallengeable. She wanted a case that demanded federal attention. My brother's breathing shifted. I had seen that same change in the security footage from his office, the login attempts from his laptop, all captured in the binder. Cornered, my brother still acted fast. He reached into his jacket, pulled a folded piece of paper, laid it on the table. "She's been building a case," he said. "Fine. I built one too." It was an email from our mother's personal account, sent 4 months before she died. Explicit authorization for me to manage Meridian Transit Solutions on behalf of the trust. Every dollar moved through that account was legally sanctioned. Miss Okafor read it, then looked at me, then at my brother. Gerald straightened subtly. Something solid to hold on to finally appeared. I need to be clear. I was not calm. 14 months of silence. The binder, the accountants, the planning, it all built a careful exterior. Inside, doubt cut cold and sharp. 4 seconds. 4 seconds of imagining that my brother had found something I missed. Then I remembered October. My mother behind her desk, the folder, her face pale with fear. He always has an exit. You find the exit before he does. The final tab of the binder labeled simply, "Exit," held the evidence. I asked Miss Okafor to pass the email. I read it. The header, the metadata printed in full, confirmed it had been sent from her home network at 6:14 a.m. on a Thursday. Page 47 of the binder confirmed the IP cross-reference. 11 of the 17 unauthorized vendor portal logins traced to that same network. She had been hospitalized that week. Admission and discharge records were in tab 9. My brother's face collapsed, quietly, like a building where someone had removed a single load-bearing wall. You accessed her email. You wrote to yourself from her account, printed it, and brought it here because you needed an exit, I said, placing it back. Mom told me you'd have one. She was right. This moment was not triumphant. My brother was my brother, the one who had taught me to ride a bike. Called me when my first serious relationship ended. Between that person and the man in the room lay a series of choices I could not follow. Grief, too, but different. Sharper, almost tangible. Miss Okafor set her pen down, looked at the binder, the email, then my brother. No longer mediation, but judgment of clarity. "I know," he said, flatly, voice stripped of performance. Gerald began closing his accordion folder. The aftermath was quieter than the mediation itself, but no less important. My brother did not contest the federal referral. The forensic accounting firm filed its report with the state attorney's office. 6 days later, the case was picked up by a federal financial crimes unit because of the interstate routing through Delaware. I wasn't waiting for a verdict. I had already accomplished the essential goal. My mother's company did not collapse. Renata, the operations director, had been there since year 3 and knew the freight routes better than anyone alive. She stepped into an interim management role while the board restructured. I signed her permanent contract on a Tuesday afternoon, sitting in my studio apartment, on my 7-year-old laptop, sipping gas station coffee. My mother would have laughed terrible coffee her whole life, but she would have said, "If you need it to be good, you're thinking about the wrong things." I sold the studio lease the following month not because I had to, but because I was done being invisible. This story is not about perfection. I made mistakes. I signed documents without reading them. At 24, grieving, exhausted. Those mistakes created openings. I had 4 seconds of doubt in that mediation room that could have undone everything. I cried alone in my car at 10 p.m. 31, my mother gone. The person who should have been grieving with me was the one I was building a case against. But my mother came to me because she trusted me. Not because I was young or fragile. She trusted that if she handed me something difficult, I would not let it go. Patience is not passive. It is the most active thing I have ever done. Every morning, for 14 months, I checked the numbers, verified the routing logs, held the accounts, said nothing. At every family dinner, board meeting, and estate review, where someone waited for me to fail or explode, Patience was building while they thought I stood still. If someone relies on your silence to protect their secrets, let them. Keep building, keep the folder, keep the metadata, keep the exit tab, and when the time comes and it will open the binder slowly. There's no need to rush. The ending is already written. They just don't know yet that you wrote it. Every morning for 14 months, I woke up, ran through the numbers, checked the routing logs, verified the holding accounts, and said nothing. At every family dinner, every board meeting, every estate review, my brother waited for me to either explode or give up. But patience is not waiting. Patience is building while they think you are standing still. While they are distracted, while they are confident in their perception of control, you are preparing the next move. If someone in your life is counting on your silence to protect their secrets, let them count. Keep building. Keep the folder. Keep the metadata. Keep the exit tab. Every transaction, every record, every piece of evidence was preserved, cataloged, verified. And when the time came, and it always comes, you open the binder slowly. You do not rush. You let the silence in the room do its work. You let them feel the weight of what they ignored, what they underestimated. The ending is already written. They just don't know yet that you are the one who wrote it. This was not about triumph, not about revenge. It was about responsibility, about honoring my mother's legacy, and about ensuring the company she built from a single rented truck over 20 years of relentless work did not collapse. My mother trusted me to hold that line, and I did. I am telling you this story not because I had everything figured out. I made mistakes. I cried. I doubted. I felt the fear of failure in that room, the same fear that could have destroyed everything in a heartbeat. But through it all, I moved deliberately, purposefully, every step calculated to protect what mattered. Because patience is active, patience is power. Patience is building quietly until the moment comes to act. When it does, you open the binder. Slowly, deliberately. The evidence is laid bare. The truth is undeniable, and they realize too late that the game was never theirs to control. The exit you built for them becomes the exposure they cannot escape. And in that moment, justice, quiet, methodical, and precise is served. Every moment of careful observation, every note, every log, every verification, the 14 months of silence, diligence, and vigilance culminates in that single act. That is patience. That is power. That is responsibility. Thank you for listening. Comment, like, subscribe if you found this story useful, or if you have thoughts to share.